Imagine getting a tip that leads to the absolute biggest story of your career, all while you accidentally pull off the most incredible prank on your biggest rival. Well, that's exactly what happened in this wild story from Kuwait's journalism scene. It's a fantastic tale of rivalry, a really bizarre tip-off, and a scoop that all started with just one phone call. And this right here is what makes the whole thing so legendary. These are the words of the journalist himself. And it sets up the central mystery perfectly. I mean, how do you unintentionally pull off the prank of a lifetime while you're chasing the story of the year? Well, let's dive in and find out. Okay, so every great story needs a setting, right? For this one, it's the absolutely cutthroat world of Kuwaiti journalism. And you have to understand, in this environment, getting an exclusive story wasn't just, part of the job. It was a high-stakes battle. And at the very heart of this battle are two rivals. First, you've got our narrator. He's a young, hungry reporter who calls himself an action lover. Then there's his competitor. This guy's a seasoned veteran, about 20, maybe 25 years older than him, and he's seen it all. They worked for different papers and were just locked in this constant struggle to outdo each other and get that next big scoop. So the whole thing kicks off at about 7 p.m. one night. Our narrator gets a call from a source he really, really trusts. We're talking about someone who had given him huge scoops before. The tip itself was super cryptic but enticing. Go to Salmiya. It's a strong story. That was it. But it was enough. He grabbed two photographers, and they were in the car heading to the Salmiya district. So they get to the scene, but what they find is, well, it's not what anyone could have possibly expected. That simple tip about a strong story was about to get a whole lot weirder. And here is where the plot absolutely thickens. The narrator's source drops a bombshell. His own rival was the one who originally tipped off the police. He had reported a suspicious wedding and even suggested that men might be dressed as women, or maybe the other way around. All of a sudden, this wasn't just about getting a story. It was a head-to-head race against his biggest competitor. So our guy is on a stakeout now, and he's just perplexed. He's watching all these guests arrive, but something's off. He can't really tell who's who, and the whole thing looks less like a wedding and more like some kind of strange, elaborate costume party. He's been waiting, he's been watching, and now the moment of truth has arrived. He has to make a choice, right now, that is either going to land him the story of a lifetime or get him into a world of trouble. He is facing the classic journalist's dilemma. Panic starts to set in. He's thinking, have the police already raided the place? Did I miss the whole thing? Or does he take a massive risk and just storm in himself before the opportunity is gone for good?
He makes a decision, and it is a bold one. Fueled by that rivalry, he literally decides he's going to ruin it for the other journalist. He tells his photographers to get their cameras ready, and on his signal, the three of them just charge the front door of the wedding hall.
The second they burst in, the scene is pure chaos. I mean, there's screaming, total confusion everywhere, and in that very first moment, he realizes something shocking. Everyone inside is a woman. The guests, absolutely terrified by these journalists with cameras flashing, just start running. They bolt towards a back exit through the kitchen, and our narrator and his photographers are right on their heels, determined to capture the story. And just as this chaotic chase spills out from the kitchen and into the street, that's when the official police raid finally begins. Officers from the Criminal Investigation Department arrive on the scene, and everything just descends into an even bigger frenzy. So out of all that complete pandemonium, what did our narrator actually get? Well, he got everything. He was in the right place at the most chaotic time imaginable, and it paid off spectacularly. So, what was really going on here? Turns out, the groom was an Iranian woman dressed in traditional male wedding clothes. The bride was an Egyptian woman. And the ceremony, it had somewhere between 150 and 200 guests. And amidst all the chaos, with guests running through the streets, the police still managed to arrest around 70 of the attendees. The scale of this event was just massive, and our narrator was the only journalist there to witness it all. For our journalist, the result was a professional grand slam. He got a full-page story, complete with exclusive, in-the-moment photos of the raid as it all went down. It was, without a doubt, the biggest scoop of the year. But the story doesn't end there. Because while our narrator was celebrating his massive scoop, his rival was completely in the dark. What happened next is where this story goes from being a great scoop to a legendary prank. This timeline really lays it all out. Our narrator storms the hall and gets his career-defining story just as the police are arriving. But a full hour later, after all the chaos has died down and the hall is completely empty, the rival journalist finally shows up to the scene, completely missing the event he himself started. And this is the punchline. This is the best part. The next day, the rival's newspaper reports that, yeah, police investigated a tip, but found nothing. Meanwhile, our narrator's newspaper runs this massive full-page story with dramatic, exclusive photos of the entire raid. He didn't just beat his rival, he made it look like the story never even happened. And that was the unintentional prank. But, this story didn't just end with the headlines. The raid and the article that followed had very real and very serious consequences for everybody involved. Yeah, the fallout from this was significant. The two women at the center of it, the bride and groom, were deported. So were all of the guests who got arrested. The owner of the wedding hall faced an investigation, and this whole incident even led to the National Assembly passing stricter laws about these kinds of gatherings. And this all brings us to a final thought. Our narrator calls himself an action lover, and his actions certainly got him the scoop of a lifetime. But they also triggered a really chaotic scene with serious repercussions for a lot of people. It leaves us with a question to think about. In the high-stakes competitive race for a story, where do you draw the line?